Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today into one of the most credible UFO sightings ever.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
The Tehran UFO Incident, 1976. Picture it. Tehran, Iran, September. Night skies.
Yeah.
Reports of strange lights start pouring in.
Mm-hmm. Sounds familiar.
Sounds like your typical UFO story at first, right?
Yeah, you've got it.
Aye.
Except, well, this one takes a sharp turn from typical.
It really does.
What gets me is how quickly things escalate. We're not talking about blurry photos or some shaky video someone took on their phone.
Right.
This incident, this one's got a ton of eyewitnesses. Everyday people, sure, but also seasoned air traffic controllers,
Yeah.
even military pilots, all reporting the same crazy stuff.
And that's what's so fascinating, right? The sheer number of people who saw something that night. The Iranian Air Force's response is also remarkable. They didn't just brush it off,
Oh, absolutely not.
Instead, they scramble fighter jets to investigate. That's when things get really interesting.
No kidding.
Yeah.
It's the sheer variety of witnesses that makes this case stand out. One of them was General Parviz Jafari.
Wait, really? An actual general?
Yeah, a seasoned Iranian Air Force pilot. He reported this massive, intensely bright object, pulsating with light. He said this thing even outmaneuvered his F-door Phantom.
No way, really? An F-4 Phantom? Those things are...
I know, right? Top of the line.
Yeah.
For this thing to outmaneuver an F-4, that's a big deal.
That's wild. So what else did he say?
Well, he described this incredible luminosity like it was hard to even look at directly.
Huh.
And its movements totally defied physics. The craziest part, his aircraft systems started to malfunction.
Wow. Like what kind of malfunctions?
Well, he said his instruments went haywire, communication, navigation, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And get this, they only went back to normal when he distanced himself from the object.
That's kind of creepy, actually.
It is, right? Like, what could cause that? Some
Yeah.
kind of electromagnetic interference, maybe? It's chilling.
This wasn't just some rookie pilot seeing things either. Jafari was well-respected, highly experienced.
Exactly. And here's the thing. His story is backed up by other pilots, air traffic controllers, all witnessing the same events. This wasn't just one person's imagination running wild. You've got multiple trained observers with sophisticated equipment, all seeing the same inexplicable phenomenon.
Right. It's hard to argue with that many people all saying the same thing. And it wasn't just the military either. We have tons of civilian accounts too. People talking about this silent object just hovering over the city, then taking off at unbelievable speed.
Right. Some even connected those sightings to citywide power outages. It's almost like, I don't know, like the object was messing with the city's power grid or something.
That is a truly unsettling thought. So we have all these different accounts, but what strikes me is how consistent they are.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the things that sets this case apart. The descriptions of what the object looked like, how it moved.
And of course, the electromagnetic interference.
Yeah, it's the level of detail, the agreement between these accounts that takes the Tehran incident from just weird to truly compelling.
You're right, you're right. This wasn't just a bunch of random sightings. So what did the Iranian Air Force actually do during their investigation? What specific actions did they take?
Well, first of all, you got to hand it to them.
Hmm.
They were committed to finding out the truth. They went all in. They didn't dismiss anything. They sent jets up on multiple nights, analyzed all the radar data, interviewed every single witness.
Oh, wow.
They even brought in experts, astronomy, aviation, the whole shebang. They were trying to wrap their heads around this thing.
Sounds like they went to great lengths to rule out all the usual explanations. And what did they find?
Well, this is the kicker. Their investigation led them to conclude that, and I quote, they were dealing with a genuine, unidentified object. Think about that.
Wow.
They were basically saying, we have no idea what this thing is.
Yeah.
It's huge, right? A government agency admitting they're stumped.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty incredible. Multiple credible witnesses, radar data, even the Iranian Air Force saying they're baffled. No wonder this case is still so compelling, even after all these years. So what exactly makes this incident stand out from all the other UFO sightings we hear about?
Well, let's see. It's a real head scratcher. I
Yeah.
mean, this thing really makes you question what's possible. You've got the consistency of the witness accounts, for starters.
Yeah.
It wasn't just some random folks saying they saw something strange. We're talking highly trained military personnel, experienced pilots, air traffic controllers.
Right, all describing basically the same phenomenon. It's hard to dismiss that kind of collective testimony, especially coming from people who are trained to observe and analyze, professionals. And let's not forget, it wasn't just visual observations either. The radar data from those nights, it backs up their stories. This wasn't just something people saw.
Oh, yeah. This thing was actually picked up by radar systems. You've got that objective technological confirmation that something was really there.
Exactly. So it wasn't just some weird weather phenomenon or anything like that. And then there are the UFO's capabilities, the way it moved, the speeds, the way it messed with
And
electronics.
it's like, what could even explain that? Even if you brought in top aviation and astronomy experts, they'd struggle to come up with a rational explanation for how this thing behaved. It's just baffling.
It's wild. Now, I know the Iranian Air Force was known for being very thorough, very meticulous. Did they ever consider that this might have been, I don't know, some kind of secret experimental aircraft from another country? After all, this was the Cold War, lots of technological competition and secrecy going on.
Absolutely. They looked into all sorts of possibilities. Covert military operations, prototype aircraft being tested. They explored it all. But they couldn't find anything to support those theories. Whatever this thing was, its capabilities were just beyond anything anyone knew about at the time.
It's like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. You have to imagine the media just went crazy over this.
Oh, totally. The Tehran incident, it wasn't just some local news story. It was everywhere. Newspapers, radio, TV, everyone was talking about it. Dinner table conversations, office chatter, even government officials were buzzing about it.
I bet. It must have been a wild time to be alive. So how did the public react to all this? Were people freaking out?
It was a real mix. Some people were convinced this was it, proof positive of aliens visiting Earth. Others were more skeptical, holding on to their belief in more down-to-earth explanations. But regardless of what people believe, the Tehran incident really got the world talking about UFOs. It sparked all these theories and debates that are still going on today.
That's incredible. It just shows the power of an event like this. It really captures the imagination. So, why do you think the Tehran incident still holds such a prominent place in UFO research, even after all these years? What makes it stand out?
It really boils down to the amount of evidence we have and the credibility of that evidence. I mean, you've got multiple eyewitness accounts, radar data, an official investigation by a reputable Air Force. It's not just some vague story or a blurry photo. It's a well-documented, thoroughly investigated event. And it's not like it just disappeared from public memory.
Right. This wasn't just a flash in the pan. The Tehran incident has really had a lasting impact on how we think about UFOs. You see its influence everywhere, from pop culture to serious research on unidentified aerial phenomena.
Oh, definitely. You see it in documentaries, books, even movies and TV shows. The Tehran incident has really become part of our collective consciousness. It makes you wonder, are we alone in the universe? What else is out there? It's a story that just won't go away.
Absolutely. It really makes you think. And it makes you wonder if there have been other incidents like this, maybe ones that share similarities with the Tehran event. Are there other cases, maybe even here in Iran, that we should know about?
There are, actually. Both in Iran and around the world, we've seen several UFO sightings that bear a striking resemblance to what happened in Tehran.
Really? What are some of the most notable ones?
Well, for instance, there was another incident in Iran back in 2004. A group of Iranian Air Force pilots were on a training mission when they encountered a bunch of unknown objects.
Wow, another one involving the Iranian Air Force? Sounds like there might be a pattern here.
It does, doesn't it? Anyway, these pilots described seeing really bright lights that were doing maneuvers way beyond what any known aircraft could do at the time.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar, right?
Yeah, very similar to what we've been talking about. Are there any other incidents like this we should know about? Maybe ones that happened outside of Iran?
Oh, tons. The United States has a long history of UFO sightings, for example. One of the most famous is the 1967 Malmstrom Air Force Base incident.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one. That's the one where a bunch of nuclear missiles were supposedly disabled by some unidentified objects flying over the base, right?
You got it. That one's still a big mystery. Lots of theories about what caused those missiles to malfunction. The official explanation was a technical glitch, but some researchers and people who were there believe something a lot more strange happened that day.
Wow, that one's pretty unsettling. The idea of nuclear missiles being tampered with by some unknown things in the sky, it's a scary thought.
Yeah, it definitely makes you think. But the point is, these are just two examples out of many. We've got reports of UFO sightings from all over the planet, many of them coming from credible sources, people you wouldn't expect to make this stuff up. And a lot of them describe things that we just can't explain. When you consider how many of these reports there are and how many of them are from trained observers, it starts to feel like there might be something really extraordinary going on.
You're right. The more we learn about these incidents, the more it seems like the Tehran incident wasn't just a fluke. It's part of something bigger, something much more mysterious that's been happening for decades, maybe even centuries. It really makes you question what we know or what we think we know about the world around us. It really does. It kind of shakes you up a bit, makes you wonder if we've got it all wrong, makes you wonder what else might be out there that we just haven't figured out yet. We've talked about the witnesses, the radar data, the official investigation, all those similar incidents from around the world. It's a lot to take in, but the biggest question still hangs in the air. If the Tehran UFO wasn't a normal plane, some weird weather thing, or anything else we can easily explain, then what was it?
That's the question, isn't it? The million-dollar question. There are a lot of theories out there, of course. Some people point to super advanced tech, maybe something top secret, developed by some country we haven't even thought of.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially back then during the Cold War. It's not crazy to think that some countries might have been experimenting with stuff so secret, so advanced that we wouldn't know about it even now.
Exactly. Some crazy new aircraft. Something that pushes the limits of what we thought was possible. It's a cool idea. And then, of course, there's the big one, the one everyone always jumps to.
Aliens, right?
Bingo. The idea that it was a spaceship from another planet here to check us out. That's the theory that really grabs people's attention.
I get it. The whole idea of a craft from another world visiting Earth for who knows what reason is pretty exciting, isn't it?
Totally. And when you think about how advanced this thing seemed to be, how it moves like it had a mind of its own, well, it makes those theories a little harder to dismiss.
That's true. Even if we can't say for sure what the Tehran UFO was, there's still something we can learn from all this.
Oh, for sure. It reminds us that we don't know everything.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there that we still don't understand, things that are beyond our grasp right now, maybe forever.
Absolutely. It makes you realize how much we still have to learn about the universe. And maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe it's good to be humbled once in a while.
I think so. This whole thing, the Tehran incident and all those other stories, they encourage us to stay curious, to keep asking questions, to be open to new ideas, even if they sound crazy at first.
I like that. To not be afraid of the unknown, but to embrace the mystery and keep searching for answers. This whole deep dive exploring the Tehran UFO incident, it's been pretty mind-blowing. I don't know about you, but it makes me look up at the night sky with a whole new sense of wonder.
Me too. It makes you realize that there's a lot more to this universe than we realize. There are mysteries everywhere just waiting to be discovered. It's an invitation to keep exploring, keep questioning, and never stop searching for the truth.
Well said. It's a reminder that we don't have all the answers. Maybe we never will. Maybe that's part of the beauty of it all. But who knows? Maybe one day we'll figure out what really happened in Tehran and all those other strange events that keep popping up. Until then, the mystery continues. And that's what makes this such a fascinating and enduring story. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We'll see you next time.